I said, it's a shame there's not too many music sites out there that cover this sort of thing. And he said, start your own. That's what I did.
Let's see, the Rockpit started back in 2009.
To my understanding, Mark Diggins is the sort of heartbeat of it all, really. He used to go to gigs and follow other websites and magazines. But
the original idea was to put out something that covered the music that I loved.
So the Rockpit was kind of there to fill in those blank spaces that needed to be filled.
Why not have something in Perth that promoted Perth bands? 10 years ago, even the internet was quite different. There were a lot of music sites out there, but a lot of them were pretty generalist, really, and not a lot of them really covered Australian music, unless it was sort of obscure indie bands and you lived in Melbourne.
2 years now I've been with the site. I bumped into Mark at a gig in the city, and then a few weeks later bumped into him again. We got talking, and then I just off my own back put in a review, and I've been here ever since. So coming up to my 100th interview with the site, and yeah, it's the best thing I've done. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic.
Basically, just when I came in, it was already starting to establish itself. So 2011, they were looking for, just volunteers and writers and reviewers and such. And they wanted someone that had a different approach to music as far as different genres and stuff like that they weren't covering. In fact, the first gig review that I ever did for the Rockpit was Metallica in San Francisco.
From as young as I can remember, I loved attending shows. One of the first shows I ever went to, I snuck in and I managed to get in the back door and saw a band on stage live. And from then, it's sort of like that passion never really stopped.
Local and underground music has always been my thing.
But I was one of those ones that was, Iron Maiden, I'm liking this, what's this? And all my mates frowned at me.
If you go through to other media publications, they kind of tend to go for bigger names and bands who have buzz, but they don't really look at the music in the way that we do. We kind of go for quality of the bands and what do they bring to the table. The idea of the Rockpit, the fact that it was it had such a focus on local music and underground music, which I'm a big proponent for.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those kids who always read the music magazines and the free press and stuff like that all the time, and catch up with all the stuff I was interested in, but I found myself wading through pages and pages of stuff I wasn't necessarily interested in, just to get to those bands that I really cared about.
I love interviewing artists, sometimes not hugely famous, when they're in other parts of the world, just to find out what the music genre's like there, what the scene's like. When you get to talk to people from these different countries, it's really, really interesting to find out what their background is. So I love to find out how they got into music as well, which is pretty cool.
It's just the music. There is so much talent out there in the local underground scene, and it's just down to marketing and promoting. And a lot of bands don't have the necessary tools and the knowledge on how to do that. We've said, well, why as well you try to utilise it and help the bands as well, on top of obviously giving them some media exposure as well on top of that.
The good thing with the Rockpit is we're very interactive, so anything people want to read and see and can't access any of these huge commercialised magazines, we've got all the social media platforms and we read every single message we get. So if there's anything new readers want to see or read, or just let us know, and we're happy to take it all on board. And because at the end of the day, we are readers ourselves, so we want new readers to read what we want to hear, because it's probably things we've missed as well. So
all the big bands that you know all started out in the same way that all your local bands are. They all played in the small little venues and they were playing in front of 50 or 100 people or whatever it was. I think if we can try to get people to really support the scene back in the way that it used to be done, so there's no reason why that can't happen again. So we'd love to see that happen in the future.
So what's the point in reading a review of an album that the reviewer thinks is awful? There's no point. I want to tell you about the music I love so that you can go away and listen to it and make your own decision.